I was mid-chemo when my cousin asked if she could borrow my apartment for a week while I stayed at the hospital. I said yes. When I came back, the locks were changed, my furniture was gone, and a realtor was showing it to a buyer. She said you passed away, the realtor told me. My cousin walked out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, and said, "Oops. I thought you'd be gone a little longer." I never thought I'd be fighting cancer and fighting for my home at the same time. I was 42, living in Everett, Washington, when I got diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. I'd been having chest pain and fatigue for weeks, but I just brushed it off as stress or aging. It wasn't. It was a tumor. Everything after that came fast: doctor visits, test results, surgery dates. Then chemo. I was on my own. No husband. No kids. Just a few friends who helped when they could. That's when Tessa showed up. Tessa's my cousin, but we hadn't been close for years. We grew up together in Tacoma, but she was always the kind of person who stirred up drama and disappeared when it got too real. Last I heard, she was living with some guy in Spokane and selling leggings through MLM schemes. But when I posted on Facebook about my diagnosis, she sent me a message. "Hey, I'm so sorry. Let me help. You shouldn't go through this alone." I was suspicious, but I was also tired. I'd just started chemo and I felt like hell. So when she offered to drive me to appointments, bring groceries, and clean up around my place, I said okay. I didn't really have a better option. At first, she was actually helpful. She showed up with smoothies and cooked some meals. She even vacuumed and changed my sheets. It felt like maybe she was trying to make up for the past. But then things started to shift. She began spending more time in my apartment than I did. She brought over her clothes. She started using my car without asking. She'd post selfies in my bathroom mirror with captions like, "Blessed to be here for my cousin during this tough time. #family first." That rubbed me the wrong way. Still, I was too sick to deal with it. My third round of chemo hit me hard. I collapsed at home from dehydration and was admitted to Providence Hospital. I needed 4 fluids, antibiotics, and a few nights under observation. That's when Tessa made her move. She came to visit me the second day I was there. I looked awful. Bald, pale, bruised from the 4 needles. She smiled like it was a casual drop-in. "Hey, so, this is kind of awkward," she started. "Things are bad with Marcus again. He kicked me out. I have nowhere to go right now. Would it be cool if I crash at your place while you're here?" My mouth felt like sandpaper. I barely had the strength to talk. I nodded. "Sure. Just for a few days." She kissed my forehead and said, "You're the best. I got you." When I was discharged 6 days later, one of the nurses offered to give me a ride home. I looked like death, and I felt worse. But I just wanted to go home. I wanted my couch, my quiet, my space. When we pulled up to the building, the first thing I noticed was that the lock on my front door looked different. My spare key didn't work. I rang the bell. Nothing. I knocked. Nothing. After a minute or two, a guy opened the door. Late 30s, wearing a blazer and holding a clipboard. "Hi, can I help you?" he asked. "Yeah, this is my apartment," I said. He blinked. "Sorry, who are you?" I said my name and told him I lived there. For the past 7 years. That all my stuff was in there. That I'd just been in the hospital. He took a half step back and looked down at his clipboard. "Wait. You're her cousin?" "Yes. She told me you passed away last week." I swear my body went cold. Then I heard it, her voice. "Oh hey," she called out. She came walking down the hallway wearing my towel, fresh out of the shower, with my hair wrap twisted on her head like this was a damn spa retreat. "Oops," she said, giggling. "I thought you'd be gone a little longer." I walked past the guy into my apartment. Except, it wasn't mine anymore. My bookshelves were gone. My couch was gone. The framed photos of me and my dog, my mom, all gone. My bedroom had a different bed. Everything was changed. It was staged like one of those model units in a real estate office. I turned to her. "Where the hell is my stuff?" She shrugged, like it was nothing. "Storage, mostly. Some of it was old. I gave a few things to Goodwill." "I mean, you're sick. You don't need a whole apartment right now." The realtor, because that's who the clipboard guy was, looked horrified. "She said you had no family left. That you left her everything in your will." "I'm not dead," I said. He nodded slowly and backed out, probably to call his boss or lawyer. Tessa stood there, arms crossed. "You said I could stay. Don't act all surprised. You changed the locks." "Well, I had to. You didn't have a Ring camera. It's not safe in this neighborhood. You listed my apartment for sale." She rolled her eyes. "Technically, I listed the lease. You're renting. It's not like I was selling a house. It's a sublet. I never signed off on that." She sat down on the arm of the new couch. "Well, it's not like you were using it." I snapped. Right there. Something inside me broke. "You think just because I'm sick I'm gonna roll over and let you take everything? You think I'm weak?" She laughed. "I think you're tired. And you don't have the energy to fight me." That's when I made a promise to myself, I would burn her to the ground. The realtor left in a hurry. I don't blame him. He looked like he wanted to melt into the carpet. He probably thought he was walking into a simple listing and instead landed in a live-action crime scene. I stood there, shaking. Not from the cancer, but from rage. "I want you out," I said, pointing to the door. Tessa didn't even flinch. She picked up her phone and kept scrolling. "You're not in a position to make demands." That was the moment I realized she'd planned this. Every visit. Every fake smile. She was waiting for me to fall far enough that I couldn't stop her. And maybe I did fall. But not all the way. I left. Not because I was giving up. I left because I needed help. Real help. I called my old neighbor, Denise. She was in her late 60s, retired, and had been living next door since I moved in. She used to bring me casseroles and feed my cat when I was away. She knew everything that happened in that building. I told her what happened, and she gasped. "Oh honey. That girl's been walking around like she owns the damn place. She told me you moved out of state. Can you help me?" I asked. Denise didn't hesitate. "You bet your ass I can." She let me stay with her that night. The next morning, we went to the landlord's office together. He was a grumpy man named Ron who owned half the block. I explained everything. The cancer, the hospital, Tessa. "She has no lease, no rights, and no business being in that unit," I said. "You know me. I've been paying rent here since 2016. Ron leaned back, frowning. "She said you signed a form transferring the lease to her." "She forged it." He looked at me hard. "You can prove that?" "I can get a doctor's note that says I was hospitalized the day she supposedly got my signature." That made him pause. Then he nodded. "I'll start the eviction process today." But that wasn't enough for me. I wasn't just going to get her out. I wanted her to feel what it was like to lose something. To be gutted, embarrassed, exposed. So I went to the police. Officer Tran was the one who took my statement. I showed him the messages, the medical records, the texts I'd sent her while I was in the hospital that she never responded to. I even showed him photos of my missing furniture, which I found on a local resale site, posted by a seller named Tessa Everett 84. "She sold my stuff," I said. "She told people I was dead. She tried to steal my lease. That's not just shady. That's criminal. He agreed. The case started small, but things escalated quickly. Turns out Tessa had done this before, twice. Once to an old roommate in Bellingham and again to a boyfriend in Idaho. Always the same pattern: move in, get control, then push them out while pretending they were gone. She wasn't just a liar. She was a repeat scammer. Meanwhile, I filed a restraining order. I contacted the resale site with proof the furniture was mine. Denise helped me dig up receipts, and I even found one of the buyers on Facebook. She returned the couch. Said she had no idea it was stolen. 2 weeks after I moved in with Denise, the sheriff showed up at my old apartment with a notice. Tessa had 72 hours to vacate or she'd be forcibly removed. She texted me one last time. "You're really gonna destroy your own family over this?" Wow. Petty. I didn't respond. But I saved the message. Because I wasn't done. 3 days later, I watched from Denise's window as Tessa dragged out garbage bags full of her things. She wore big sunglasses and walked like she owned the block. A guy I'd never seen before, probably her latest loser boyfriend, helped her carry out the last box. She didn't look embarrassed. She looked pissed. Good. I didn't go down. I didn't yell. I didn't say a word. I just stood there and watched as she lost everything she thought she stole from me. But I still wasn't done. I knew from the resale site that she'd sold more than just my couch. I found listings for my dining table, my record player, my late mother's jewelry box, even my winter coat. Some items were gone for good. Others I tracked down. A young couple had bought my TV. A college student had my bookshelf. I contacted every buyer I could. I showed them screenshots of the original listings. I told them my story. Most felt terrible. A few gave the stuff back. One woman offered to pay me for it again just because she felt bad. But then came the email. It was from a lawyer. Tessa's lawyer. The subject line: cease and desist. She was accusing me of harassment. Of slander. Of interfering with her ability to earn a living. She claimed I was trying to ruin her reputation. I forwarded it straight to the detective working my case. Turns out, that email opened the door to something even bigger. Detective Tran called a few days later. "I need you to come in," he said. "We've uncovered something." When I got there, he had a file thicker than my chemo records. Photos, printouts, maps. He laid it all out. Tessa had opened a credit card in my name. 2, actually. She'd used my social security number, which she must have gotten from paperwork at my place, to open accounts in my name. One had $6,000 charged to it. Rent, clothes, even a spa weekend. And then he showed me the worst part. A photo of her. Sitting at a bank. Trying to withdraw money from my savings account. That's when I realized she hadn't just been trying to take my apartment. She was trying to erase me completely. I sat there in the police station, staring at a printout of my own bank statement. Only it wasn't mine anymore. Half the money was gone, transferred to some PayPal account under the name @Everett_Wellness. She even labeled it in the memo line as Cancer Wellness Fund. She had used my cancer to start a fake fundraiser. My stomach turned. I wasn't just dealing with a thief. I was dealing with someone who saw my sickness as a golden opportunity. "Can we get it back?" I asked the detective. "We're working on it," he said. "You're not the first she's done this to. But you're the first one who fought back hard enough to bring it all to the surface." That night, I went through old emails and messages. I found one from a girl named Shayna who had commented under one of Tessa's Facebook posts, "You did this to me too." I messaged her. What she told me made everything worse. Tessa had lived with Shayna 2 years ago after her divorce. Claimed she was broke, needed a place to stay. Shayna let her crash on the couch. Within 3 months, Tessa had moved into the master bedroom, changed the locks when Shayna was on a work trip, and told neighbors she was the new tenant. Shayna came home to find her belongings on the lawn and a locksmith there saying the owner had ordered a full lock replacement. She convinced the cops it was her place, Shayna wrote. I didn't have the energy to fight. She made me feel like I was crazy. I asked her if she ever got justice. Not really. I had to move. Lost most of my stuff. I had a breakdown afterward. I promised her that wouldn't be the end of it. Not this time. So I got loud. I posted my story on Facebook. Then Reddit. Then a local cancer support group. I didn't use Tessa's full name, but people who knew her started connecting the dots fast. One woman DM'd me and said she tried to get my mom to sign over power of attorney last year. She said she was a patient advocate. Another wrote, she worked at our nail salon for 3 weeks. Stole tips from the register and disappeared. And then I got a message I didn't expect. From Tessa's sister, Melanie. We hadn't spoken in years. They were both raised by the same manipulative mother, but Melanie turned out decent. Quiet, careful, a nurse in Yakima now. I'm so sorry, she wrote. I always knew she'd end up doing something like this. I didn't know it would be to you. I asked her if she'd be willing to talk to the detective. She agreed. She told the police that Tessa used to steal prescription pads from her bag when she was still in med school. That she once forged their father's signature to cash a check. All of this helped build the case. And then came the day I'd been waiting for. Detective Tran called again. We're issuing an arrest warrant. Tessa was arrested outside a yoga studio in Lakewood. She was wearing a designer gym set, carrying a smoothie, acting like she didn't have a care in the world. They charged her with identity theft, fraud, credit card abuse, and filing false documents. When I saw her mugshot online, I felt nothing. Not joy. Not peace. Just cold. She had tried to erase me. I testified at her hearing. My voice shook, but I didn't cry. I told the court what she did while I was in the hospital, bald, sick, and barely breathing. I told them about the fake will, the changed locks, the stolen money. I showed them photos of my furniture being sold, messages she wrote pretending I had passed away. Then Melanie testified. And Shayna. And 2 others who had never even met me but had nearly identical stories. The pattern was obvious. The judge didn't hold back. Tessa was sentenced to 4 years. Not some slap on the wrist. Real prison time. And she was ordered to pay restitution, every dollar she took. Of course, I knew I'd never see all of it back. But it wasn't about the money anymore. After the sentencing, her lawyer tried one last time to reach me. She'd like to write you a letter of apology. I said no. Because here's the truth, some people don't deserve forgiveness. Now, about my own mistakes. I let Tessa in. I ignored the red flags. I gave her a key to my place, my trust, my time. I was tired, yes, but I was also too proud to ask the right people for help. I let shame keep me quiet. I thought being sick meant I had to be grateful for any hand offered. Never again. I went back to my apartment after she was evicted. It didn't feel like home at first. It was bare, strange, almost haunted by what she did. But I made it mine again. Piece by piece. Denise helped. So did some folks from the cancer center. People showed up for me in ways I never expected. I finished chemo 3 months later. I rang the bell on my last day, loud and hard. The nurses clapped. I didn't cry then either. But I smiled. For the first real time in a long while. I beat the cancer. And I beat her. Tessa thought I was weak. She thought I'd be dead, or too broken to fight back. She was wrong. I'm still here. And I will never be that easy to erase again.